The series is about a Korean legend called the Gumiho. If this fox lives for 100 years, it can transform into a human, either a woman or a man. If it lives for 1,000 years, it gains superpowers and becomes one of the most powerful beings. The story begins in 1999 as a child named Ji rode in a car with her parents. Her mother gave her a birthday gift which she opened and loved very much. They were passing a place called Fox Ridge. Suddenly the lights went out and the car began to crash. The car flipped over with them inside. When the heroine opened her eyes, she found her parents unconscious while two lookalikes stood in front of the car. She screamed in terror, but suddenly woke up in her bed at home and thought it was just a dream. However, she noticed her toy was broken and saw some blood on her clothes. She saw her parents laughing strangely and felt they were different. Ji asked her mother to bring her a walnut cake. When the mother went into the kitchen, she claimed they were out of walnuts, but Ji told her she never eats walnuts because of her allergy and realized this woman was not her real mother. She grabbed scissors to stab the stranger and ran to her room. The two imposters tried to attack her, but then the hero appeared. His name was Yeon, and he saved her. He used his powers to cast a spell on her so she would forget what happened and returned her to the accident site. 21 years later, the hero woke up, and the first thing he did was go to the fridge for mint ice cream, which was his favorite meal in the entire world. He got dressed, took his umbrella, and went to a location that hosted a wedding. We discovered the bride was a fox who broke the rules to marry a human, and unfortunately she caused the death of humans, so her punishment was death. She begged Yeon to forgive her and let her marry the one she loved, but he refused. She asked to say goodbye to her lover and went to do so. Afterward, Yeon struck her with his sword. She burned away, leaving her dress on the floor. Then the heroine appeared. Her name was Ji, a director interested in supernatural events. She saw the hero leaving the hall and felt she had seen him somewhere before. She investigated the bride's escape and found the wedding dress, wondering how she fled without it. She also found animal fur on it. She took it to a vet named Gu Shin, who identified it as red fox fur from a rare animal that must have escaped a reserve and came to the city. When she left, the vet called the hero. It turned out they were friends, and he warned him, but got no answer. The hero sat in the park while a child's balloon flew away. He used his powers to bring it back down. A child saw him and asked if he was an alien, but the hero replied that he was a 1,000-year-old fox waiting for his lover to return. This was because foxes only love once in a lifetime. Later, Yeon went to the office, responsible for the balance between humans and other beings. He met his boss, an immortal fox, and told her he was tired of his job and wanted to quit. She reminded him that he used to be the mountain spirit and chose this duty so his lover could return from the dead. She teased that she could cancel the agreement and held up the contract to burn it, but the hero stopped her, saying he was joking and would never give up on his love. Later, Ji sat in her office with her colleagues, watching the surveillance footage from the wedding. She saw a person holding an umbrella and guessed he was the same man she saw leaving the hall. Yeon met his vet friend, who told him a director was searching for him. The hero didn't care at all and walked away laughing. Ji went to meet a person who had information about the man with the umbrella. He revealed that the man was not human, but a 1,000-year-old legend, years old. She didn't believe him, so he told her to visit a specific bus stop at night for proof. As he walked away, we noticed his appearance changed as he got into a car, revealing he was also a fox. This man called Yeon to say he had information about his deceased lover and wanted to meet that night. Ji went to the location and saw a student and an old man. When the bus arrived, the student boarded, but the old man fell to the ground. The bus left without them, but she glimpsed Yeon riding inside and recognized him as the man with the umbrella. On the bus, the lights suddenly went out as Yeon approached the student. Meanwhile, Ji helped the old man home, but while carrying him, she noticed that he was extremely heavy and had no heartbeat or breath. When she put him down, he told her that he had repaid his debt. She was confused, but we understood that everyone on that bus was destined to die. When Ji arrived at the scene, she realized this, but found the student still alive and started talking to her. The police informed them that a person from the bus was missing, referring to Yeon, and she suspected he was responsible. The next day, the heroine went to the hospital to check on the student. She asked if she remembered anything, but Sue was in shock and could not speak. When Ji showed her Yeon's picture with the umbrella, Sue got scared and said he wanted to kill her. Ji called the detective to request protection for her, but she failed. When she left, she bumped into him. He caught her and returned her item, and thus she managed to get his fingerprints. Ji decided to take Sue home until she recovered and to watch over her. When he went to the hospital, the nurse told him Sue had checked out and gave him a paper with Ji's address. He got angry and left. At night, Ji woke up to find Sue standing before her, saying she remembered what happened on the bus. She claimed Yeon killed the passengers and attacked her. In reality, she was lying. It turned out she was a fox who killed the passengers, and Yeon was trying to stop her. Ji sensed she was lying and threatened her for the truth, but she was shocked when the girl changed her form into the person she met 2 days ago. He attacked her, but the hero arrived just in time. We discovered the heroine in intended to write her home address for him. He fought with Yeon, and we learned this was his brother, Rang. Yeon was stronger because he was over 1,000 years old. The heroine had hidden a camera among the books and recorded everything. Yeon defeated his brother easily and forced him to leave. Yeon approached the heroine to ask what was happening and used his powers to make her forget. The next day, Ji spoke to the detective, who said the fingerprint results were in. We discovered she had not forgotten anything. At night, Yeon returned home to watch the fight video on his laptop. He found Ji standing there holding a flash drive. She told him to come get the original if he wanted it. She threw herself from the balcony. She closed her eyes and Yeon jumped after her, managing to save her before she hit the ground. When Ji opened her eyes, she rejoiced and said she was sure he was not human. She had waited for this moment. She injected a sedative into his neck. We saw a flashback of Yeon in his past life living as a mountain spirit. He met a girl who looked like Ji and they loved each other. However, the love story ended sadly and the heroine died. The hero broke all natural laws and used his powers to cast a spell so her soul would reincarnate. He promised he would search for her and find her. Indeed, he found many girls who looked like her over time, but none of them possessed the fox bead he gave her soul. Yeon woke up from fainting to find the heroine in front of him. She demanded he tell her what happened 21 years ago and help her find out what happened to her kidnapped parents. Yeon did not care about her words. He approached her and used his powers on her eyes. However, Ji was not scared. She destroyed the flash drive and said she would not reveal his secret, but he owed her a debt now and had to repay it. Later, Ji was watching a video of her childhood self with her parents because she missed them. She was shocked by a scary scene at the end of the video. She woke up realizing she was dreaming. Next morning, she went to work and met her colleagues, learning they also had nightmares. When they sent them to her, Yeon said he knew what happened to them. They met at a restaurant so he could explain. Yeon told her that her parents were not in the world of the dead, meaning they were still alive, but he did not know their location. He asked her to forget him and stay away from his world so she would not endanger her life. However, she refused and grabbed him, saying he must stay with her until she found her parents. At that time, she received a call that her friend's mother died. Yeon heard the news and told her he would show her what his world was like. The heroine went to the funeral home and met a certain person. She threw coins in front of him because the hero told her to. Suddenly, something strange happened and the person turned into a monster and ate the coins. He went to attack the heroine, but Yeon appeared and protected her. He told her this monster was a Bulgasari and was a legendary creature that fed on nightmares. He beat him and threatened to kill him, but the monster said it was not his fault. The hero's evil brother ordered him to do it. Ji was shocked by what she saw. The monster came from behind the heroine and took her hostage. However, the hero hit him with coins and managed to save her. He told her to stay in her world and forget him, and that he did all this to scare her. The next day, we saw a boat at sea where fishermen discovered a human skull in a net. They identified the owner by his gold tooth and said he lived with them on the island. The news spread and the police came to take the skull, but they did not find the body. At the house of the hero, we found he still had the monster locked in the freezer. Then he forced him to call his brother Rang to meet. There, the two brothers started talking. Rang resented him because of his status as a mountain spirit and for abandoning him for his lover. He threatened to kill her for him. However, the hero mocked him and left. The next day, Ji boarded a ship to go to the island to investigate the case. The hero went with her. When they arrived, they met the dead man's daughter, who told them what she knew. When the heroine asked the islanders for information, they refused to cooperate with her and ran away. Yeon told her to leave. Yeon told her to leave this matter to him as he knew how to handle it. He went to the forest and communicated with the spirit. A spirit appeared in the form of a little girl. She said she was the spirit of the sacred tree. She explained that a typhoon hit the island because of an evil spirit and she could not help the islanders because she was tied up. The hero cut her rope and freed her. The spirit thanked him and told him to go to a place in the north where he would find what he was looking for and it would help him. When Ji went to the place, the girl mentioned she found a cave. She was surprised to find a photo of her parents in that place. She wondered why they were there when her mother was pregnant with her. At night, the hero noticed she laughed exactly like his ancient lover. The hero waited for her to sleep and used his powers to verify, but he did not find the fox bead inside her. He covered her and left. The next day, Yeon convinced the islanders to talk and learned this was not the first accident on the island. Later, Ji called her colleague at work who told her that many accidents happened on the island and the first case was in 1954. Suddenly, one of the people who were on the boat appeared in front of her. When she called out to him, he became terrified and hallucinated. He hit her and was about to kill her, but the hero arrived and saved her. Afterward, he tried to treat her wounds with an herb, but was surprised that her skin burned and her voice began to change. She grabbed him by his neck and told him she was the person he had been waiting for and asked him why he killed her. And later, the heroine returned to normal normal and did not remember anything she said a moment ago. We discovered that she was indeed his ancient lover and that an evil entity was occupying her body. Later, when the heroine returned to the island, they found a murder had occurred. We discovered the victim was one of 3 people who were with the girl's father when he died. When she approached the body, she found hair. When they went to meet the second person, he told them the truth that they were lost at sea without food or water. They were forced to eat their friend and drink his blood. Afterward, he decided to leave them and go to the other world. He also found hair in his mouth. Unfortunately, the daughter of the dead man appeared crying. We discovered that these people caused her father's death, and she took revenge on them with the help of Rang. He was the hero's brother who followed him everywhere and would not leave him alone. He did not know why. Ji noticed strange dragon drawings in the victims' homes. The hero told her it was not a dragon, but a powerful legendary creature in the form of a snake called an imugi. It represented hatred and evil. He refused to let her know that this was the entity inside her. Rang sat with a witch and asked her to perform rituals to wake the imugi from the well. She warned him that if it came out, it would kill the heroine. Rang laughed and told her that was exactly what he wanted to prove. Yun took the heroine and left the house. He asked her to leave the island immediately because the imugi was a dangerous creature. He explained that he defeated it once before, but could not guarantee it would happen this time and her life was in danger. However, she refused. Ji went and met the dead man's daughter, but she was surprised when her form changed to Rang impersonating her, and she knew he caused the murders. He admitted that he caused the murders that were happening. He said he could help her find her father and mother. She asked her if she had seen them on the island before. She said yes, and that the woman was pregnant. She went with her to the house. She made tea which contained sedatives, but Ji discovered the trick and refused to drink. When she left, she fainted. The woman told her the incense contained the drug, not the tea, and her form changed into an old woman. We returned to Rong, who was laughing hysterically. The hero asked why he laughed. He said he did what he wanted, which was to subdue him and keep him away from the heroine. He added that she would be a sacrifice for the imugi to return to life. Yun tried to reach her, but could not find her because her scent had disappeared. At that time, the witch performed strange rituals, cut Ji, and tried to throw her into the well. Yun arrived, but could not approach them because of the barrier the witch created. When he felt Ji was in danger, he remembered his dead lover. He got angry, gathered all his power, and broke through the barrier. He managed to burn the witch and grab Ji before. She fell into the well. He saved her, carried her, and left the place. When they arrived, Ji thanked him because he had saved her life multiple times and promised to repay the favor. Here, he remembered his lover's words and imagined her standing in front of him looking sad. That night, we saw the islanders standing at the well. Rang appeared with a child wrapped in a blanket that had the imugi drawing on it. He gave the child to an old man. The next morning, Yon met the man's daughter who had disappeared while escaping. He learned she sacrificed her leg to Rong to avenge her father's killers. She entered and told them the islanders had disappeared and no one was left. Ji started filming the empty houses on the island. She noticed that even the victims' bodies had vanished. She called her manager at work and told him what happened so he would send support. The girl told them she heard a child crying at night, even though the island had no children or pregnant women. When the hero asked her about the time, she said all clocks stopped at 42 minutes past the hour. The heroine looked at her watch and found it had indeed stopped at the same time. Yon told her that this was the time when the door to the other world opened. Afterward, he left the island and they returned to the city. The hero bought her a mobile phone to replace the one his brother broke. He saved his number so she could call him if she needed him. Rang appeared at someone's house and told him he granted his wish and brought back his, this score, dead daughter in exchange for taking his money. The daughter he mentioned was Yuri. He asked her what she did with Gu Xin. She said she followed his instructions and met them, now just waiting for his orders. Rang went to meet his brother at a restaurant. Yon asked him about the islanders and why they disappeared. However, his brother refused to tell him anything and threatened to free the imugi and kill his lover, who would be reborn. He said the only way to stop him from killing her was to kill him. He took him to the roof of a building, gave him a sword, and told him to kill him just as he did 600 years ago. We saw a flashback of Rang killing and torturing a large number of humans. Yon appeared and told him he broke the rules and must be punished. He held his sword and struck him in the stomach while feeling sad about doing so to his little brother. Rang told him he survived by a miracle and this was his chance to kill him. Yon held the sword and attacked, but it turned out he hit him with the back of the sword. He told him that no matter what he did, he would remain his brother. He left him and walked away. Yon went to meet his boss. She told him he broke the laws when he killed the witch because she was human. Yon told her that. He was ready for punishment. She told him it would be carried out tonight at 12 o'clock. He said that Ji resembled his lover in appearance, voice, and personality, but he was surprised he did not find the fox beat in her. She got nervous as if she knew something and was hiding it. Yon asked if she knew anything about the child on the island. She was silent for a while and then said no. Later, the heroine called him and he went to meet her. He brought green herbs as a gift. She took them from him and touched his hair. Yeon remembered his ancient lover when she made the same gesture. They started eating together. Ji told him this was the only way. She could thank him for saving her life. Then they talked about her parents, saying they were kind and she loved them very much. She cried when she remembered them and made a hand gesture to forget her sadness. Yeon's lover also used to do this when she was alive. The hero felt tense because his ancient lover used to do the same gesture. He felt something was wrong and that she was his ancient lover, but he couldn't be sure. Yeon promised her he would stay with her until she found her parents. We went to Rang, who met the man who took the child from him on the island. We learned that he saved him from death after he took the sword strike 600 years ago. He told him he admired him because he was human, yet managed to live all this time. The man smiled, and we noticed a ring of fire on his hand, meaning Rang was indebted to him. He told him he would care for the child until the right time came. The fox's promise was supposedly a ring, and if he didn't fulfill it, he would die. At night, Yeon walked with Ji and told her he would be busy for a couple of days. He gave her a charm he made, saying it would protect her until he returned. Afterward, the heroine went to her friend to offer condolences for her mother's death. When 12 o'clock came, Yeon was sentenced to live in a human body for a week and feel pain as punishment for killing a human. We saw him chained in the prison of the Snow Mountain. A day in this place equaled 7 years in the underworld. Meanwhile, Ji was surprised by Rang in front of her at the funeral hall. He told her about their relationship and that she reminded him of his dead lover, which was why he killed the witch to save her. Now he was being punished because of the witch. He cut the charm she took from Yeon without her, noticing, then left her and walked away. Afterward, Ji walked in the hallway and met twin girls who told her they were lost. However, we saw their pictures at the funeral and realized they were dead. When her colleague called her and she looked back, she found the two girls had disappeared. While she was going home, she discovered the charm was cut. Suddenly, the two children appeared again and strangled her. She fell to the ground, unable to breathe. At that time, Yeon sensed she was in danger. He asked his boss to let him go save her. She said he must cross the bridge of knives to leave. Later, the heroine woke up and found herself at home. She started hallucinating and saw ghosts around her. She ran from them and went up to the roof of a building. The children approached her and gathered around while she screamed in fear. At the same time, Yeon agreed to cross the bridge of knives, but unfortunately his body was human, so he would be tortured to cross and endure great pain as the knives cut his body. He kept going despite bleeding heavily and fainting. He remembered his lover, and an image of Ji came to his mind, along with her words thanking him for saving her life. He gathered his strength and continued crawling, saying the pain in his body could not compare to the pain she would feel or the pain he would feel if she died. Ji told herself to be patient until he arrived. At that moment, the ghosts threw Ji from the roof. If you thought she would die, my friend, you are wrong. The hero arrived and saved her. Bravo, legend. When Ji opened her eyes, she found Yeon seriously injured and unconscious. She cried and told him not to die. Yeon opened his eyes and said with difficulty, I finally found you. At the same time, we saw the Imugi child wrapped in a blanket open his eyes, and we noticed they were glowing. Later, the heroine took the hero, who was tired, treated his wounds, and stayed by his side while he slept. When Yeon woke up in the morning, he found her sleeping on the chair holding his hand. He said she was worried about him all night. Then his friend Gu Shin arrived. The heroine was shocked to learn that the veterinarian she visited before was his friend. Later, Rang appeared in a watch shop choosing the most expensive watch. He saw an employee there wearing an old watch and asked him why he wore such a cheap one. The young man told him it was his most precious possession because it was a memento from his father. Rang offered to give him his expensive watch that he just bought. The young man agreed easily, and Rang knew he was willing to sell his most precious possession for money. After that, Rang got into the car with Yu Ri. She asked him about the watch he had. He told her it was the most precious thing to someone, and he lost it, just like him. We realized how lonely he was after being separated from his brother. He threw it out the window and it broke. We went to the heroine, who asked Yeon about his lover's name and how he met her. He told her her name was We saw memories of him with her when she was a child. She kept touching his hair and treated him like a pet at first. When she grew up, she always trained with a bow and arrow and told him her goal was to kill her father, the king. The heroine asked the hero why she wanted to kill her father, the king. The hero told her he was obsessed with immortality, and people always heard screaming from the palace. They used to say he was the earth dragon. We went to the child born on the island. We saw the old man at home talking to the nanny and telling her to go up to his son in his room. When the nanny entered, she was surprised that the child born 2 days ago had grown quickly, fed on humans, and absorbed their souls. We went to Rang, who heard a sound and told Yuri to stop. He saw 3 young men hitting a dog with a ball. He went over and beat them. Then, the dog he saved followed him, but Rang refused to take it because it reminded him of the puppy his brother gave him. However, Yuri decided to take the dog with her. Later, Yun took Ji to the place where she saw the two girls who tried to hurt her. He called out to them, and they began apologizing to the heroine. He told her they just wanted to know the truth about their death. When she heard their story and how they died, she went to meet their father and told him the truth. At the same time, the hero went to their uncle and forced him to tell the truth. Indeed, he confessed that he molested them because he was not in his right mind at the time, and then threw them from the top of the building. The father heard the truth and kept crying. We saw the ghosts of his daughters standing behind him, comforting. After the heroine thanked the two girls, they left happily because the truth was revealed. Ji was carrying him at the beginning of the series. He asked him about the location of her parents. He said he did not know and said the governor was the only one who could help him. Yun went to the restaurant where the heroine was eating with her colleagues. He took her by the hand in front of her colleagues, and they went to the governor's place. He asked her to wait for him until he asked about her parents. Ji saw a dress shop. Did she stay put? Of course not. She entered and bought one. When Yun went, he did not find her. He looked for her and saw her walking in front of the crowds wearing the same dress his lover wore, looking beautiful as the moon, even prettier. As soon as she saw him, she told him she was looking for him, but he immediately hugged her because she reminded him of his lover. Then they went to someone he knew, God forgive us, a fortune teller. He told Ji she was a princess in her past life. He told them that if they stayed together, one of them would die and they were not destined to spend their lives together. They left him and walked away. Then the hero's brother appeared in the same place. He went to meet the fortune teller and learned his brother was there. He asked him for the magic glasses that could see anyone's past. He offered him a bag full of money, but the fortune teller refused, saying that the price of these glasses was not money and he had to sacrifice his most precious possession. Meanwhile, Yon met the governor and asked him about Ji's parents who disappeared 21 years ago, but the governor refused to tell him. Suddenly, many people appeared holding swords and attacked the hero. They started fighting him. The heroine was afraid for him, but Yon managed to beat them all alone. He started fighting the governor as well and managed to defeat him. He shook his hand and revealed he knew him from long ago as he was a black bear spirit. At that time, we saw Gushin sitting with Yuri in a restaurant. He apologized to her for judging her too quickly, saying she was like animals that had been tortured, which was why she did not trust anyone and pushed away those who got close. She told Gushin to keep the dog he was treating. She told him about the person who saved her life and that he would be able to meet him soon. Later, the governor sat with Yon. Ji showed him a picture of her father and mother and asked if he knew anything about them. He told her the kidnapper was human, not a fox, and had a tattoo mark on his head. He said the target of this incident was their daughter. Then he took Yon aside and spoke to him, telling him to stay away from Ji because she had a powerful spirit inside her. Yon was surprised by his words. At that time, the child appeared having grown a little. We saw strange marks on his neck and hand that looked like snake skin. He found a bird that hit the glass and fell to the ground. He held it in his hands and healed it so it flew again. We returned to Ji, who was thinking about the governor's words that her parents were kidnapped because of her. She was certain the person who kidnapped them was close to her. Yon told her to rest assured and trust him, and that he would protect her and stay with her until she found her parents. At that time, he received a call from his brother asking to meet. Yon agreed and told Ji that Rong was the key, and through him they could find the person who kidnapped her parents. He asked her to cast a spell on his shoes. Through these shoes, he would be forced to go to the person who kidnapped her parents. We went to the hero who went to his brother and took him to the fortune teller. He said his brother's soul was his most precious possession, and they needed the glasses now. The fortune teller confirmed his words. Then the fortune teller took Yon and trapped him in his magic bag. He started preparing to leave and told him that his location changed every time and it was not easy for anyone to find him. Ji was torn between following Rang to find the person who kidnapped her parents and saving the hero. However, she chose to save the hero. She asked the fortune teller to free him, but he demanded she give her most precious possession before 9 o'clock. She agreed and had only 1 hour. She ran home asking herself what her most precious possession was. She was confused. When she returned, she found the place closed. She kept calling, but no one answered. Suddenly, the governor opened the door and told her to enter quickly. She reached the fortune teller's shop before time, ran out. She gave him the last toy she received from her mother on her birthday, saying it was the last memory she had of them, and that it was the most precious thing to her. At that time, Rang found himself going to the servant's house, asking himself what he was doing there. He discovered that this was the effect of the spell. We returned to the fortune teller, who told the heroine the toy was not her most precious possession and the deal could not be done. He discovered that her left hand held something called the fox bead, which was important to him. He asked to take it. The heroine agreed, and the lines drawn on her hand changed. She managed to save the hero. At that moment, we saw the child playing chess with himself. Suddenly, he smiled and said the fox bead had disappeared. Afterward, Yon went with the heroine and learned what she did for him. She joked that she bought him and he was hers today. Yeon took her home and stayed with her until she fell asleep. He promised to bring back her parents and then make her forget his world so she would remain safe and live a normal life. He went to his boss and asked her to tell him the truth about whether the Imugi was alive or not. She told him that Ji was the reason for his return because her soul was linked to him. At that time, Ji had nightmares and saw the child growing up quickly. We discovered he was the Imugi and he said hello to her. She woke up terrified and we noticed the same Imugi mark on her neck. At the same time, the hero discovered that his lover Ji was the one he had been waiting for all along. He got angry and threatened his boss that if anything happened to her, he would destroy the world of the living and the dead. However, his boss stopped his attack easily, said he crossed the line and told him to leave. In the Imugi's house, he was talking to his servant, saying he had been waiting a long time and that he was close to getting what he wanted. He read the servant's thoughts and told him not to worry because he had changed from the Imugi he knew and that the world itself had changed, so he had to evolve too. The servant told him they knew of his existence and would look for him. The Imugi laughed and said he would be waiting for them. We went to the hero, who went to the heroine's house and asked how she let the fortune teller take the fox beads so easily. She said she could not bear losing him too and was ready to sacrifice anything. The hero told her he would stay with her for the coming period to protect her. She told him about the nightmare she saw and the child who said hello. She was scared, but when she woke up, she felt happy and felt that she had seen him before and knew him. The hero was shocked by her words. We saw the hero's brother looking sad. Yuri sat with him and asked if he failed to get the glasses, but he took them out of his pocket. He told her he was sad for his brother. We discovered from his words that he was a hybrid fox, half human and half fox. He asked her to leave him alone. Later, he was going home drunk and saved a child from an accident. The glasses fell from him and the child found them. The next morning, Yeon prepared breakfast for the heroine. He got dressed and went to work with her, waiting until she finished. He called Gu-shin and asked him to keep watch because he felt he knew the Imugi's location. When he followed Gu-shin, he found him looking for something he lost. He heard him talking to someone on the phone, telling him to check the cameras to find the glasses. In the Imugi's house, his servant opened the door for the nanny and told her to feed him well. He said today was a special day because finally the Imugi would be revived in a new body and form, and thus become complete. Then the nanny screamed and tried to escape, but the child pulled her and started absorbing her blood. He entered the room and came out in the form of a grown young man. At the same time, the vet was shocked when he saw Yuri in the car with Rang. He deduced that the person she was telling him about was him. Yuri had a picture of the child who took the glasses and showed it to Rang. Later, the heroine met her colleagues at a restaurant. The hero invited them to lunch and sat with them. They got to know him. He told them he liked Ji, but she did not like him. However, Ji said she liked him too. Here, they confessed their love for each other. As for the veterinarian, he got angry that Yuri was deceiving him. When he looked, he found he had disappeared from the car, but suddenly found him in front of him. He broke the car window and kept hitting him. This was because he knew he was ready to sacrifice his life for the hero, and that he loved him just as much as he did, and he would not deny these feelings. Rang got angry at his words and hit him. He told him he did not love his brother. Yeon was sitting in a restaurant with Ji when Rang sent him pictures of Gu-shin beaten up. Yeon left them and walked away. The heroine was surprised and felt something was wrong. Later, the child who was wearing the glasses met Ji's colleague. The child who had the glasses met Ji's colleague and told her she was a beautiful girl. When he looked at the heroine, he got scared and said she was a monster and ran away quickly. We went to the hero, who went to the place where Rang was. She told him where the glasses were. When he went and took the glasses from him, he looked at him and discovered that he was his dog in his past life. The child kept walking behind him, so Rang took him along and got him food. At night, Ji and her colleagues went to the owner of the station where they worked. He welcomed them into his home, but warned them that no one was allowed to touch the cherry tree or go up to the second floor. They had dinner together. Ji went to the bathroom and heard a knocking sound coming from the floor above. When she went up, she found the nanny's broken nail on the floor. She heard the knocking sound from the room where the Imugi was. When she approached it, he was standing behind the door sensing her. He said hello while smiling. She was about to open the door and enter, but the servant came from behind her and told her to go down with him. Later, Ji went to Yeon's house and found he had prepared dinner for her. She gave him a gift and they watched TV together. At the end of the evening, Ji went home and found a box with the glasses and a message from Rang telling her to wear them and look in the mirror to know the truth. At that time, Yeon was in a shoe store buying a gift for the heroine. Rang called him and said he sent the glasses to the heroine. The hero was shocked by his words and went quickly to reach her before she used them. Meanwhile, our friend put on the glasses, stood in front of the mirror, and saw herself in her past life, dying by Yeon's hand. She was terrified by what she saw and could not believe it. At the same time, a flashback of the past life appeared. appeared. We learned she was a princess and her father asked to meet her. It turned out the king's assistant was her boss at work. When Ji went to meet her father, she discovered his true nature and knew his body was possessed by the Imugi. She held a bow and arrow and threatened him to leave her father's body or she would kill him. The Imugi offered that if she handed over Yon, he would leave her father. The heroine agreed but told him that Yon could not leave the mountain. She agreed with him to leave her father and possess her body and she would take him there. He agreed. When Ji went there to Yon, he knew the Imugi was in Ji's body. He fought him and killed him and Ji died with him. This was the story. We return to the present. Yon arrived at the house and we saw Ji crying. He knew she had seen everything and knew everything that happened to her in her past life. He remembered the words. The servant laughed and told him he did not advise him to do that so he would not get hurt. Rang got angry at his words and grabbed him by his neck. Suddenly, the Imugi appeared from behind him and told the servant to leave them alone. He began talking with Rang, saying he felt the sadness and anger inside him and knew he wanted to kill Ji, but unfortunately that would not happen. The heroine would not die because she would become his bride, and no one would stop him from possessing her. Afterward, Rang left. The Imugi told the servant he would test Yon to see if Rang was his weakness or if Ji was his weakness. At that time, Ji decided to research the past life to see if it was real or fiction. She visited a doctor who was her mother's friend and took a book from her containing experiences of people claiming they were born twice and remembered their past lives. Ji was surprised when the doctor told her that her mother asked the same question 20 years ago. She added that the heroine underwent hypnosis when she was 9 years old. She gave her the recording of her session. Ji went to her office and played it. She saw her younger self talking while sleeping. Suddenly, she opened her eyes at the doctor and spoke in a strange tone, telling her that her voice was loud and she could not sleep. She asked to drink. The doctor asked who she was. She replied that she was born in the cave where the living and the dead mixed and that she had many names, including Imugi. The story became strange now. There was an Imugi inside her and an Imugi over there. What was going on? We would understand soon. She looked at the camera and said the words written behind Ji in the office saying, "I finally found you." Ji was terrified and turned off the video, wondering how the person in the video could speak to the present. Later, a monster appeared who had the ability to trap people in nightmares. The Imugi sent her. She trapped Rang in the forest where he was when he was young, and his mother abandoned him because he was a fox. People used to beat him because they saw him as a monster. Rang discovered that if he died in the dream, he would die in reality. Later, this monster went to Ji and trapped her in the Fox Ridge where her parents disappeared. The car was moving fast and we were about to crash. The monster told Yun he had 2 doors, one to save his lover, Jai, and one to save his brother. He had to choose quickly before both died. Yun made his decision and immediately entered the door where his brother was, saving him at the last moment before the monsters killed him. While Rang was telling himself that his brother did not love him and would surely choose his lover over him, he surrendered to the monsters. He was surprised to see Yun in front of him fighting the monsters until he reached him and extended his hand. The 2 brothers started cooperating to defeat the monsters. Meanwhile, Ji tried to tell her parents to stop the car before they crashed, but they did not answer her. Her mother gave her her birthday gift and everything happened exactly like the day of the accident. When they reached the place, the car flipped over. The Imugi appeared in front of the car and told the monster that Yun was not an easy opponent and was smart because he chose to save his brother, knowing that he would not allow the heroine to die. At that time, we saw Yuri trying to wake Rang from his dream, but he did not wake up. She noticed many wounds appearing on him. We learned that what happened to them in the dream affected them in reality. The hero said the monsters became stronger and he could not use his full power because he was in Rang's dream. His brother started to give up. He asked him not to give up. Rang sat on the ground and said he had nothing to live for, as even his only brother tried to kill him. Meanwhile, Ji opened her eyes at that time and found herself in her room with her mother in front of her. She told her she was in a coma and they were alive, not dead. Ji was surprised to have memories with pictures of her parents. She suspected her mother and tested her, saying she wanted a walnut cake. However, her mother told her she couldn't because she was allergic to walnuts. At that time, the heroine fell into the trap and actually stayed in the dream because she wanted to live happily with her parents. Below the house, the Imugi and the monster appeared, saying Ji chose to live in her subconscious and would remain trapped forever. They returned home. The monster offered to trap the servant in a dream for fun, but the Imugi threatened her that she crossed her limits. She got scared immediately and apologized, saying, "Sorry, sir." At that time, Gushin went to the director and asked her to tell him a way to save Yon, saying he was ready to sacrifice himself for it. The boss gave him a magical ribbon and told him the way. He returned to Yon, who told his brother that his sword never failed to kill anyone, and that he intentionally did not kill him because he loved him and would never abandon him. He said he must defeat his fears so they could exit the dream. His brother believed him and continued continued the path with him until they reached the mountain. He saw the door to exit on the other side. They jumped to enter the door, but unfortunately, Yon decided to sacrifice himself to save his brother. At that time, Rang saw monsters in the form of his mother holding his leg. However, Yon told him it was an illusion and jumped on the monsters, taking them with him. At that time, Rang screamed and entered the door. He woke up from the dream crying, saying he must save Yon, and fainted because he was tired. Meanwhile, Ji was in the hospital, trapped in the dream, surrounded by her colleagues. Suddenly, the machine gave an alarm. They went to call the doctor. When they returned, they found she had disappeared. They discovered that Gu Xin took her home and put her next to Yon, who was also trapped in the dream, and tied him with the magical ribbon. Suddenly, Ji received a call while in the dream. When she answered, she heard Yun's voice telling her that all this was not real, and she must remember to return to reality. Ji actually tried to remember. She grabbed a pen and cut herself. Her memories with Yun returned. She went downstairs to her mother and father, hugged them, and told them she wished to live with them even if it was a dream. But unfortunately, she had to return. She promised them she would keep searching for them until she found them. She walked out the door and woke up from the dream. She found Yun still trapped in his dream. She held his hand and asked him to wake up, saying she would wait for him. She saw Yun in the dream walking alone, telling himself he would not be able to get out of there. He fell to the ground. The monster appeared in front of him. When he learned from her that Ji woke up from the dream, he got up and stood. He told her he only pretended to be weak to lure her here. She tried to escape but failed. Yun told her that she was in his subconscious, so she was a weak creature to him because he was one of the strongest monsters. He said she could do nothing but get them both out of there. He extended his hand from his consciousness and grabbed the Imugi standing in front of him, who was his original body. He managed to take a button from his shirt, laughed, and told him, "I finally found you." I don't know. They were all waiting for each other. "When will you meet?" He drew a sword, killed the monster, and disappeared from the dream. At the same time, this monster disappeared in reality. The Imugi smiled because Yun was not an easy opponent. Afterward, Ji was walking on the road while it was raining. Yun appeared in front of her with an umbrella. She ran to him, hugged him, and told him she knew he would return. Then the hero took the heroine to the mountain he used to rule. He told her how his lover saved his life. Once he left the mountain he was supposed to protect, which made him weak. When he saw humans, they were afraid of him and wanted to kill him. However, his lover appeared, saved him, and he promised to repay the favor. In the Imugi's house, he told his servant that the second stage of his plan would begin, which was to possess the hero and marry the heroine. We returned to Yon, who was telling Ji why he killed his lover. This was because she appeared in front of him and shot him with arrows. He knew she was the Imugi. Yon tried to trick him, saying she was not important to him, so he would leave her body, but the Imugi refused and killed Yon. He heard his lover's voice, crying and begging him to repay the favor and kill her to get rid of the Imugi. Indeed, the promise bound to his hand forced him to do so, and he killed her while weeping. She died while he held her in his arms. Ji told him. She understood the truth and apologized for doubting him. We went to the hero's brother, who called the hero, and learned he woke up from the dream. Yun told him to come to his house. When Yuri entered, she found him looking sick. He told her he was about to die because he was half fox, half human, and had lived too long. He asked her not to tell Yun, saying he intended to take revenge on the Imugi and help Yun defeat him. We went to Ji, who returned to her office. There, she heard her colleagues saying they had seen Yun somewhere before, but couldn't remember. Ji entered, showed them his picture with the umbrella, and told them he was the person she had been looking for. Later, the servant went to the hero's brother and took him to his house. There, the servant offered him to eat the cherries to prolong his life, but Rong refused, saying he could never live on human souls. When Yon went to Rong's house, he didn't find him. He met Yuri and told her his brother was lucky to have her in his life. He asked her to take care of him because he was reckless, then left her and walked away. Afterward, Rong threatened the servant that he would kill him for trying to get rid of him and trapping him in the nightmare. The Imugi couldn't save him because he wasn't home. However, the servant laughed and said he couldn't kill him because he saved his life 600 years ago. We saw a flashback of when Rang was dying, and he gave him the cherry ring to restore his strength. Since then, he owed him a debt he had to repay because these were the laws of foxes. He asked him to hand over his brother in 2 days so the Imugi could possess him. Ji told her friends everything and that they were close to her in her past life. She gave them the magic glasses. They looked in the mirror and saw their past lives when they were servants close to the princess. They were shocked and asked her about the truth of Yon. He entered and told them he was a Gumiho. The next day, the servant woke up to find Yon in his house. He was shocked and terrified of him. Yon asked him about the Imugi's location, saying he searched the house and didn't find him. At that time, the work manager entered Ji and her friend's office and introduced them to a new person joining them at work. When he entered, we discovered this person was the Imugi. He introduced himself as Terry. She shook his hand and felt they had met before. They saw strange news about a mummy. Suddenly, Ji decided to go to that place. The Imugi went with her to get close to her. At the same time, Yon went to his boss. As soon as she saw him, she asked him a question and he answered incorrectly. It turned out to be Rang, disguised as his brother. He asked her for a way to get rid of his promise to the servant. She told him there was only one solution: for him to die. Ji arrived at the morgue and asked Terry to film the mummy. She told him this was a dried corpse without a drop of blood, as if someone had sucked its soul and blood. She noticed the corpse's nails were like the nails she found in her boss's house. She connected the dots and returned to his office quickly. She took the nail from there and confronted the servant with it. He laughed and told her this was the beginning. The heroine was afraid of him and asked him, "Who exactly are you?" The servant looked in the mirror and the mark appeared on his head. He was the person who supposedly kidnapped her parents. She asked him if they were still alive. He told her yes, and if she wanted to see them again, she had to hand over the mountain spirit to him, referring to the hero. At that time, the Imugi was walking in the streets. Suddenly, he smelled the scent of a fox. Yon appeared in front of him and attacked him, saying, "Didn't I tell you we would meet again?" They began fighting each other. Their power was equal, and neither could defeat the other. The hero noticed that the sword did not penetrate him. The Imugi told him he would not repeat his mistake from the past and that he was now stronger than before. He offered to return Ji's parents and let them live together on the condition that he surrender his body to him. Ji was thinking about the servant's words at that time too. She asked him why he chose her parents. He told her because he knew she would do anything to save them, just as she sacrificed herself in her past life and saved her father. Suddenly, the heroine felt pain in her body. Yon refused the Imugi's offer at that time, saying he didn't trust him and would defeat him. The hero asked, "Why did you appear specifically at this time?" The Imugi told him, because his lover returned in the heroine's body and he wanted her to be a sacrifice for him. Yon got angry at his words and gathered his strength to kill him. However, the Imugi cast a spell. The hero looked around and found many people trying to kill themselves. He tried to save some of them, but when he returned, he found the Imugi had disappeared. We returned to the heroine. The servant told her she was now connected to the Imugi and felt the pain he felt, and that anything he felt later, she would feel too. He told her he offered his wife, children, and mother as sacrifices to the Imugi, so he could live for a long time. He told Ji she must do the same and sacrifice Yon to get her parents back. He gave her a sedative, one drop of which could tranquilize Yon. Later, news spread about a large number of people attempting suicide. Yon's boss found out what happened and told her husband that the Imugi had started executing his plan. As for Rang, he was walking when he met the child who had taken his glasses. He found the child's stepfather beating him. Rang defended him, kidnapped the stepfather, and took him to the Imugi's servant, telling him to take his soul. The servant showed him a cherry fruit, saying only the Imugi could create it. He put it in the mouth of the unconscious man. Suddenly, his soul disappeared and turned into a cherry fruit, which the servant absorbed, saying his soul was evil. Rang said at that time that he needed to do something right in his life before he died. It turned out he sent the small child to Yuri and Gushin to raise him. At that time, the hero tried to call the heroine, but she did not answer him. He waited for her in front of the house and met her at night. He gave her a gift and they walked together. The heroine told him what happened and that the servant asked her to hand him over in exchange for her parents. She gave him the sedative. We returned to the servant trying to manipulate Rang's mind, saying his brother tricked him, did not love him, and preferred his lover over him, citing that as soon as he woke from the dream, he went to meet her. Rang got angry and called Gushin to ask about Yun's location. Yun went to the Afterlife Immigration Office and took Ji with him. Ji asked his boss to help her find her parents using her clairvoyance power. She promised to cooperate with Yun to destroy the Imugi. Yun learned from his boss that Ji's parents were trapped in a cherry tree located in the Imugi's house. At that time, Rang agreed to hand over his brother to the servant and took the sedative from him. The servant stipulated that Rang must kill his brother with his own hand because his brother could never do it. We returned to the hero who said he knew the location of the cherry tree. When he went to Rang's house, the servant was watching them. When Yan drank the coffee, he fell to the floor and fainted. When the servant saw what happened, he entered the house and tried to take his heart, but Rang had tricked him. He had agreed with his brother beforehand, and they had swapped appearances. Yan grabbed the servant by the neck and threatened to kill him. Those players were smart. The servant asked Rang to save him, thus repaying the debt. Indeed, Rang was freed from the promise binding him. The servant felt tired and crawled away. We saw Ji trying to delay Terry so he wouldn't go home, as this was part of the plan. She had already discovered his true identity while he was a fool. The Imugi kept kissing her hand to let him leave, but she kept stalling him. Later, she met Yan. When she entered the house with him, she met her father and mother after they were freed. Ji cried because she thought her parents would not recognize her after she grew up, but her father wiped her tears and hugged her. Her mother apologized for leaving her alone for 21 years. Yan walked away to leave them be. Ji realized her parents had not aged, as if they had been sleeping in a deep slumber. At that time, the Imugi found out what happened and called his servant, telling telling him to return home to be punished. However, the servant was terrified by his words and fled. Afterward, Rang got into the car with Yuri and told her he reconciled with his brother. Yuri recalled a flashback from 5 years ago when she first met Rang. He freed her from a cage, taught her how to defend herself and bite anyone who approached her. Since then, she followed him everywhere and obeyed him. At night, Ji was sleeping and dreamed she was in the Imugi's house. The nanny's hand grabbed her leg, the one that had turned into a mummy. Ji escaped from her and was forced to enter a room. The Imugi appeared from behind her and told her they were connected and their fate was one. When Ji looked in the mirror, she found her neck looked like snakeskin. She woke up, terrified, and went to look in the mirror, relieved that her face was normal. At night, Yeon was thinking about how to defeat the Imugi without hurting Ji. The servant called him and said he needed the cherry tree to stay alive. He told Yeon to meet him to make a deal. The next morning, Ji rode in the car with Yeon and told him about the dream and the Imugi's words. She said she was afraid. She was really connected to him, as he said. However, the hero reassured her that he would find a solution and she should trust him. Ji invited him to dinner at night so her parents could meet him. Later, the Imugi appeared holding a cat and went to Gu-shin to treat it. When he spoke to Gu-shin, he realized the person in front of him was the Imugi and that he was the one who hurt the cat. He treated it while afraid and trembling. He tried to grab a scalpel to attack him, but the Imugi read his thoughts and threatened to kill him if he did that. He approached him and cast a spell on him. We will find out what it is in a bit. We return to Yeon, who was sitting with Ji and her friends. He asked them to help him gather any information about the Imugi in ancient legends and if he had a weakness. Then she left them to go prepare dinner. Yeon went with her friends to choose a suit to meet her parents in. He went and had dinner with them. He told them he loved their daughter. He looked at pictures of Ji as a child with them and she was happy sitting among her family. Afterward, she went out with Yeon. He said he wished he could be human to marry her and grow old together. Ji put a ring on him similar to the one she wore as proof of their love. Meanwhile, Yuri was going to meet Rang when the Imugi cast a spell on her. This was so she would go and kill Rang. When she met Rang, she stabbed him with a knife exactly as he taught her in the past. When he fell to the ground, Yuri regained consciousness and saw her hands covered in blood. She was shocked because she did not remember what happened. She took Rang to Gu-shin's clinic to treat him quickly. Yeon went to check on him. Gu-shin told him his life was in danger and he needed to eat from the cherry tree. However, he refused and told him if he did that, he would be punished and imprisoned for a week in the underworld. This was what the Imugi wanted, so he could exploit his absence and execute his plan. He said the only solution was to catch the Imugi afterwards and treat his brother. At that time, the servant went to Yeon's house and begged him for cherries so he could live. Yeon asked him how he could defeat the Imugi. The servant told him the Imugi did not die, and the only way to stop him was to return him to sleep using the same rituals performed to wake him. At the same time, the heroine's friends discovered the Imugi's weakness through ancient books, which was that he hated horse blood. They sent a message to Yeon, but suddenly the Imugi appeared in front of them. The heroine received a call, and when she answered, she found her friends standing on the roof. The Imugi threatened her that if she refused to meet him now, he would make them commit suicide. Ji was forced to agree, but she told Yeon and agreed with him on a plan to catch the Imugi. Ji went to meet him. The Imugi told her the story of a child born deformed with snakeskin who was mute. His father wanted to kill him, but failed, so he locked him in a cage inside a cave filled with the corpses of plague victims. He turned into a monster. When he left the cave, people said he was an omen and cursed, so they named him Imugi. At that time, Gu-shin kept following the scent of Ji's friends until he found them and managed to save them. Yeon executed the rest of the plan, soaking his hand in horse blood so they could defeat the Imugi. At the end of the day, the heroine told the Imugi she loved Yeon. He got angry and grabbed her by the shoulder, but the hero arrived and pushed the Imugi with his hand covered in horse blood, weakening him. He then performed the rituals that brought him back, which consisted of well water, Ji's blood, and the power of the mountain spirit. However, Yeon was shocked that nothing happened to the Imugi. He discovered his soul was split in two, and the larger portion was in Ji's body. He found her in pain, and her appearance changed. The Imugi inside her appeared and told Yeon he could not stop him. Yeon realized the Imugi was cursed and aged quickly, so he wanted Yeon's body to become immortal. The Imugi threatened him to either give him his body or he would kill Ji. He attacked him, and Yeon was unable to defend himself because he didn't want to hurt Ji. Afterward, Ji returned to normal crying and told Yeon to kill her so she wouldn't hurt him. However, he reassured her that everything would be solved. When they went home, he treated his wounds. He told her the Imugi inside Ji might have a weakness and asked Gu-shin to go look for the fortune teller who took the fox bead from Ji because he was the only one who knew that weakness. Afterward, Yeon agreed with Ji that they would leave the city and she shouldn't worry about her parents because Gu-shin would watch them. Ji agreed. Later, the Imugi appeared in front of the servant's car and said he must be punished because he betrayed him and helped Yeon. He cast a spell on him him, infecting him with a virus, and ordered him to turn himself in to the police. Ji woke up at that time. The Imugi called her and told her to look in the mirror. She found snakeskin patterns on her hand and neck. He told her he would soon control her entire body, and then she would. She hated him and said words contrary to her feelings, that she didn't want him in her life and he must forget her. When Gu Xin went and told Yun what happened while crying, Rong entered and told them she went with the Imugi in exchange for him, curing him. They agreed they must get rid of the Imugi so their loved ones could be safe. They gathered with the heroine and her friends. The heroine told them the Imugi revealed his plan to spread a virus in the world. The hero told them he found a way to get rid of the Imugi in Ji's body without hurting her. He discovered the fortune teller who took the fox bead from Ji was a powerful spirit and had a legendary dagger made from the branch of a sacred tree thousands of years old. With this dagger, they could kill the Imugi's soul without hurting the heroine at all. They would execute the plan tomorrow. At the police station, we saw the servant in the cell. The virus had spread everywhere and also infected the police officers who began showing symptoms of the virus. At night, they started preparing the plan in their restaurant. Rang performed the rituals, placing horse blood around the place, so when they extracted the Imugi from Ji's body, he wouldn't escape as a snake to trap him in Imugi's soul. Ji was scared, so Yun hugged her and reassured her that the dagger only killed spirits. Ji asked if the dagger could kill him. Yun said yes. She laughed an evil laugh behind his back, meaning the Imugi was the one asking now, not the heroine. She grabbed the dagger and stabbed Yun with it. He fell to the ground. She laughed and told him her body was already possessed by the Imugi. We noticed at that time the Imugi in Terry's body was in pain and told Yuri to stop the car. Afterward, she cut a piece of skin from her neck and put it in Yun's mouth because this was how the Imugi could possess his body. However, suddenly Yun stood up and took the skin out of his mouth. We discovered that all this was part of his plan. The dagger was fake and he basically couldn't find the fortune teller. He did all this to discover the Imugi's weakness and how to transfer his soul out of Ji's body. At that time, the original Imugi got out of the car and walked in the street, spreading the virus among people, causing them to faint. At the same time, Yun's boss decided to betray him and add Ji's name to the death list to get rid of her and the Imugi once and for all. She set the date of her death for tomorrow. However, her husband rejected what she did, saying she was breaking Yun's heart. He decided to leave her and walked out of the Afterlife immigration office. Afterward, Ji returned to normal. Yun took her out and told his brother and Gu Xin that he knew how to transfer the Imugi from her body, but this time he wanted to get rid of him forever. News spread about the virus outbreak. They started to learn that a police officer also died with strange spots on his body and snake eggs in his mouth. At that time, Yun told them he had to go on an urgent errand. Ji went to check on her parents, but on the way, the time written in the death list arrived. She was about to be hit by a car, but the boss's husband appeared and saved her life, thus ruining his wife's plan. He sat with Ji and told her his wife did this to stop the Imugi because the virus was killing people because of him. At that time, Yun arrived, upset that she tried to kill Ji. He begged her to give him a grace period of just 3 days to stop the Imugi. However, she said there was no point in what he was doing, that no matter how hard he tried, the end would be the same. Either he would die or she would. Meanwhile, Gu Xin was in front of Ji's house to protect her parents. He heard them talking about the period they were absent, saying their daughter Ji could protect herself and take responsibility. In Rang's house, we saw him taking care of the child, feeding him, buying him clothes, pampering him, and bringing him toys. He told him to guard the house until he returned. Later, Mr. Choi went to the restaurant and had breakfast. Suddenly, he felt unable to breathe. The restaurant owner tried to help him and found symptoms of the virus. She managed to extract snake eggs from his mouth before he suffocated. When Ji's friends went to work, they discovered all the employees were infected with the virus, and they called her quickly to let her know. When she turned on the TV, she found news about the death of a large number of people due to an infectious disease with unknown causes. Ji entered the bathroom, stood in front of the mirror, and called the Imugi to appear. She started talking to him, saying she was just a vessel and he would soon control her entire body. However, she told him she would not allow that and would hurt herself before it happened. We went to the Imugi, who ordered Yuri to meet Gu Xin, because if he met him, he would destroy him. Indeed, Yuri called Ji's parents' house and went to meet him. Afterwards, Ji's father called his daughter and told her their friend was at their house. The Imugi took the phone from him and spoke to her, saying he warned her not to challenge him. He ordered her parents to hurt themselves. The heroine cried and tried to go save them, but the boss's husband stopped her. The hero arrived at their house just in time and cut the rope before they hanged themselves with it. The Imugi ordered them to stop. He started talking to the hero, saying their boss was determined to get rid of the heroine, to get rid of him, and if she died, he would die too. He offered Yun his boss's position in exchange for leaving Ji's body. He gave Yun a chance to think. Afterwards, Yun went to tell Ji that her parents were fine and that he erased their memories so they would forget seeing the Imugi. Then he told the boss's husband about their agreement with the villain and that he was deceiving him to catch him. Yun remembered his conversation with his boss. His plan was actually to eat the Imugi's scale, then transfer the spirit to his body, and then kill himself. Thus, he would save the heroine and get rid of the villain forever. In the cell, the servant kept screaming for someone to help him. Rang appeared before him, and when he saw he was going to die, the servant told him to get him out and he would help them, claiming he knew how to kill the villain. Rang got him out. Afterwards, Ji was sitting with Yun when she received a call. When she went, she found her friend infected with the virus. Ji hugged her crying and took her home. The hero told her to endure until the Imugi swallowed the bait and they got rid of him, and then the virus would end. We saw the servant with Rang in the car. We learned that Rang agreed with him to kill the heroine to get rid of the villain and ensure his brother didn't sacrifice himself. At that time, the Imugi went to Yun and agreed with him to attack Yun's boss. However, the villain was actually smart and knew it was a trap, so he took his precautions. At the same time, the servant went to the heroine, pointed a gun at her, and told her she must die for him to live, claiming he sacrificed everything just to stay alive. The servant shot Ji with the gun, but she dodged the bullet and pointed the gun at him. After she finished him off, she laughed and said, "Is this how you repay the favor after I saved your life?" The servant discovered the one speaking was actually the villain Imugi. He saw her friend, terrified. She approached him, gave him the gun, and told him to kill her. When her friend refused, she took the gun herself and threatened to kill him. However, her friend came and slapped her, bringing her back to normal. The heroine saw her hands covered in blood and cried in fear. At that time, the villain spoke with Yun and agreed on a plan to defeat the boss. The hero told him her husband would help them because he was tired of her orders and because she was the reason for their son's death, as she let their son's wife die. Afterwards, the hero went to check on the heroine. She told him what happened. He said the servant deserved what happened to him because he had been living on human souls for centuries. When Yun left her, he called his brother Rang and asked to meet him, to tell him about his meeting with the Imugi. When Rang finished the call, he opened the door to find Ji in his face. As for Yun, he explained his plan to Gu Xin, saying he would sacrifice himself to save Ji. However, Gu Xin refused and said he was ready to sacrifice himself instead. Yun refused and told him he was no match for the Imugi. Gu Xin cried because he didn't want to lose his close friend and brother. At that time, the heroine spoke with Rang and said she knew he sent the servant to kill her. She asked him not to tell Yun anything so he wouldn't lose his brother because of her. Rang told her he was thinking of killing her right now. The heroine told him she wouldn't stop him, but she was afraid for him because of the Imugi inside her, as he was powerful and could hurt him. Afterward, Yun instructed Gu Xin to protect Ji after he died and to comfort his brother Rang because he would be sad. He gave him all his possessions so he could marry Yuri and live a happy life. Afterward, he went to meet his brother Rang at the restaurant. Rang asked him why he was ready to sacrifice his life for Ji. He told him because she sacrificed her life once and saved him, and he must repay the debt. He asked his brother to go with him to the river and help him defeat the villain. At that time, we saw Yuri talking to the Imugi, asking him to leave her alone. However, he refused, saying she had no place to go and no one loved her, and that Gu Xin hated her for deceiving him, so she must stay with him. He left her and went out. The doorbell rang. When Yuri looked through the peephole, she found Rang and Gu Xin begging her to come back with them. Gu Xin kept telling her he was sorry and that he loved her. Rang also promised her he would save her tomorrow and defeat the villain so she could regain her freedom. Yuri cried at their words. Then Yun met Ji and told her he would take her out like any normal couple. They went to the amusement park, tried all the rides, and he bought her gifts. Afterward, they ate ice cream. Ji asked him to keep remembering her because anything could happen to her and the villain might kill her. The hero reassured her and said he would not let her slip from his hands again. At that time, we saw his boss talking to the picture of her dead son, asking him to forgive her. She cried, and this was the first time she shed a tear in her life. Afterwards, she called Yun and asked to meet him. When he went to her, she told him there was a way to save Ji without sacrificing himself. She gave him a sword and told him when the Imugi went to her tomorrow to stab him with it. When the Imugi felt he was dying, he would flee from her body and merge into the original Imugi's body, and at that time she would petrify him with her power. Yun rejoiced greatly, hugged her and thanked her for the idea she gave. He told her he knew her heart was kind. At that time, the Imugi went and met the governor. He attacked him and took a tool called the Moon Mirror from him. Ji was sitting next to her friend, and it seemed her friend was already saying goodbye. The Imugi called her here and told her to meet him, claiming he would give her an antidote to save her friend. However, when she went to him, it turned out he was deceiving her and there was no antidote. He cast a spell on her and forced the Imugi possessing her to appear. He told him he needed his help. Yun went to Ji and was surprised the Imugi possessed her. The Imugi told him the governor lost something precious to him and surely he knew what it was. Yun was shocked by what he heard. He knew it was the Moon Mirror and and realized his boss was in danger. I wonder why? This was because when he tried to go save her, Gushin and Rong appeared from behind him and attacked him. We discovered the Imugi possessed them too. At that moment, the Imugi went and met the boss, who was surprised that Terry looked like her son who committed suicide. He told her he chose this body specifically because he knew a day would come when he would meet her. He confessed to her that she was the cause of the plague that afflicted his wife. The boss got angry at what she heard, realizing he was the cause of her son and his wife's death. She gathered all her power and cast the petrification spell on him. However, the villain used the moon mirror he stole from the governor and reflected the strike. It turned out using it this way made her petrify instead of him. When Yon managed to defeat his brother and his friend and woke them up, he asked Ji to return, unable to do so. However, Yon begged him to seize the opportunity before he turned completely into the Imugi. Rang screamed and executed his brother's orders, stabbing them with the sword. The Imugi said he would be reborn and take revenge on them. However, Yon told him that would not happen. He took him and jumped into the river of the underworld. The last thing he told the heroine was that he loved her. Rang collapsed here from the emotional strain and fell to the ground crying after killing his brother with his own hand. The heroine screamed after seeing her lover die before her eyes to save her. She held the toy he bought her, unable to comprehend she would not see Yon again. At that time, we saw Yon and the Imugi drowning in the river. Yon remembered his memories with the heroine. He heard her crying and told himself this was the only ending for any love story between a human and a fox. He said he wished to stay with her longer and become human to spend his life with her. At the same time, the virus disappeared, and all the infected returned to their normal state. The boss also recovered from petrification. The heroine went to meet her and asked her to let Yon reincarnate again, even if they would not meet. However, she told her that was impossible and nothing was in her hands anymore. Afterward, Rong was depressed and went to Gushin. He gave him a video his brother recorded, telling him to take care of himself, not to blame himself for anything, and that he would always love him no matter what happened. At that time, the heroine went to Rang and told him she felt they would meet him again. She would record a video for him of everything happening so he could watch it later. Gushin proposed to Yuri and she agreed to marry him. They gathered everyone at the restaurant. Everyone spoke about their relationship with the hero, and the heroine recorded everything. 6 months passed. The heroine celebrated her birthday with her parents and was surprised by a gift from the hero along with a letter. She was astonished and started reading it. He wrote that she would be beautiful in a wedding dress and he wished he could see her in it and that he loved her. He asked her to forget him and move on with her life. However, the heroine cried and said she could never forget him and would wait for him to return to her. At that time, Rang was trying to reach the fortune teller by any means and managed to find him. He went to him with the heroine. The fortune teller told him he was the king of darkness who ruled the underworld. He showed them Yon's fox bead, saying he could bring him back, but couldn't guarantee when, maybe quickly, maybe after they died. Both agreed for him to return to life, regardless of whether they would meet him as long as he returned. The fortune teller asked them to offer their most precious possession. Ji offered her memories with Yon because they were her most precious possession, but the fortune teller refused and demanded her life. The heroine agreed easily. Here, Rang got angry and told her, "What does this mean? He sacrificed his life for you, and if you die now, his sacrifice will be in vain." Rang offered his life to the fortune teller, who said it had no value because he had no one to care for him. However, when he used clairvoyance on him, he realized he now had a family, the child, Yuri, and Gushin. The fortune teller agreed. Rang asked the fortune teller to at least let him say goodbye to his family. However, when they arrived, the task was finished, and the fortune teller took Rang's life while he was crying. Months later, Ji was leaving work while it was raining. She was surprised to see the hero in front of her with the umbrella. She ran to him and hugged him. He told her he finally became human. They went together and watched the video she recorded. He saw his brother, Rang in it, and felt sad for him. Afterward, he went and met Gushin, who was extremely happy to see him. He watched a video his brother recorded before he died and was moved to tears. Afterward, he went to his boss to say goodbye because he was now human and could not meet them again. Later, Yon married Ji, and they held the wedding in the mountains. The boss blessed him with wind and flowers showered down on him. God forgive us, anyway, regarding what they were doing. At that time, Yon was sitting in a park. A child fell off his bike in front of him. He recognized him as his brother Rang after he reincarnated. Yon rejoiced that his brother returned in human form. In the end, Yon lived a happy life like normal humans. However, a scene appeared at the end of the series showing Ji sleeping. The hero woke up at night and went down to the street with the umbrella. He met a person wearing a mask who said he was the spirit of misfortune. Yon turned the umbrella into a sword and his eyes glowed, meaning he still possessed the fox's power.